Hello there, this is Sword with Audiosmith, and today we're taking a look at the MP145 by Hidizs. Now, Hidizs did send me this IEM for review, but of course, all thoughts and opinions are my own. They have not said to say anything, or else we wouldn't be here. As usual, my written review will be down in the link below. Now, the MP145 comes in at $159 US, and they have a very unique metal shell on them, and they are very large enough that I'm definitely going to say that there's probably a lot of people that can't fit these, including my wife, who couldn't get them to stay in or fit comfortably whatsoever. That being said, if they do fit, I do enjoy the sound of them. The stock cable is nice. There is an issue with the stock cable though, and that was the ear hooks for me. I didn't have them sitting properly, probably due to how tall that these sit. I had to constantly readjust, and they very rarely stayed on properly. You could fix this with a hairdryer, but just something to notice out of the box. The ear tip selection is quite nice. You get vocals, balanced, and bass ear tips, and they're nice quality, and they seem to fit quite well. These come with a hinged pouch rather than a hard case, which normally I prefer the harder cases just to throw in my bag and go with. But these are metal, and they seem to be built quite well. So I'm not too worried about throwing them in there. It just is going to protect it from scuffs and stuff. Now, the MP145 uses a 14.5mm planar magnetic driver. Overall, I'm a big fan of the sound of these. There are some instances where I notice the planar timbre, and it's not the best, but it's not always apparent. It just kind of peeks its head through every now and again. And at the price point, I think for $159, it's a pretty well-rounded package. Includes everything you really need as long as that fit is good for you. As for the bass, the sub bass I don't find super visceral. There definitely is still the slam and punch and a lot going on there, but it's more well-rounded with the mid bass. The mid bass is very nice and gives quite a decent note weight on most tracks, and gives a nice low-end feel, but it definitely makes it so nothing sounds hollow. The mids are quite apparent and generally not recessed. There are times where there seems to be a bit of congestion if you're listening to a track with quite a bit of bass or lower end, that it kind of congests and kind of pulls everything together. But there's definitely never a moment where it sounds hollow, or I wish that there was kind of more going on in the mids. I definitely enjoyed female vocals more than male vocals on these. Female vocals tended to stay standing out, where sometimes male vocals were recessed and pulled backwards into the mix, and they kind of blended in with all the instruments rather than standing out where I would like them. As for the treble, I find that it is quite energetic and engaging. There are times where it's a little bit spicy, but I don't really find sibilance that often in these. If you are treble sensitive, you might run into that with these, and that is something to watch for, but overall I think the treble region's quite well rounded and detailed. I really like the way that these handle cymbals. They're never too splashy. Vocals, S's, and sharp sounds don't usually come across overly emphasized, and they seem to be well rounded. So the treble's quite energetic, but I think it remains where it needs to be, and very near that peak of getting detail for its quantity. Although there are some issues with the congestion for these, I kind of enjoy the technicalities that these offer. There is a very grand soundstage that I quite enjoy on these. But that being said, with that soundstage, I find that the imaging is a little bit lackluster, and sometimes there's notes coming out of places that just don't seem like they should be coming out of there, and the separation's just not the best that it could be. But for the warmer tuning that it is, and for the big soundstage it offers, I definitely think quite a few people will like these. For gaming, there were parts of these that I enjoyed and parts that I didn't enjoy. For FPS games, Escape from Tarkov, I found that the imaging just didn't really hold up. There were times where it was just chaos, and I had no idea where sounds were really coming from. During the quieter moments and just kind of breathing in the world and everything, it was quite immersive. But as soon as action started, and I needed to know where sounds were coming from, they didn't do a great job. As for immersive games, Elden Ring was actually quite good. This grand soundstage during the quieter moments just made the world feel huge. It was very enjoyable in that regard. But that being said, when it got into more action-packed moments and we were dealing with boss battles and there's music and there's this big fight happening, there were times where the music and the fight kind of blended in and things got a little congested and kind of cramped for room. Another thing to add for the gaming section is that because of their size and I can't wear them for prolonged periods, it might be risky to try to get these just for gaming. As for a comparison, for $40 more, you can get the Giz Audio and Binary Acoustic Chopin, and honestly, I would personally pick the Chopin if I could spend the extra $40. It just fits my preferences more. But that being said, it has a much more intimate soundstage, and the note weight isn't as good as what the MP145 can offer. So if you're looking for something with a grander stage and a pretty intense note weight, I think that the MP145 will probably be your more favorite pick. The MP145 also is a much more full and complete package than what the Chopin is, in my opinion, as well. So I think that for your money, you get kind of a better value almost here. The MP145 is the first IEM that I've tried that's been a planar magnetic, and I think it does quite a lot well. And for my library, it is a very good all-rounder. There is sometimes issues with the congestion or the imaging just isn't the best, but overall it portrays the audio very well. It's quite detailed and has a nice low-end warmth to it. And it's hard not to say that it's a decent value for the package. I quite enjoyed it myself. The MP145 was kind of a surprise for my first planar magnetic IEM. I quite enjoyed these, and at $159, it does a lot fairly well. The package is quite complete, which is nice. The cable needs a bit of adjustment and the imaging isn't the best, but for the most part, my library played out really well on these. If you have larger ears and that congestion you don't think will bother you, or the imaging, and you're looking for that kind of grounder soundstage with that nice tight low end, I think these will fit the bill quite nicely. If you are interested in purchasing the MP145, there will be links in the description down below. Thank you for watching. Peace.